Thank you, Kevin. In mid-March, Disabilities Day services closed with intellectual disabilities, with a small number of exceptions. In May and early June, Inclusions Ireland surveyed the people who use these services and their families on the impact of the closure of services. In total, 291 family members answered our survey, and 55 people with intellectual disabilities responded to the survey by Inclusion Ireland. The closure of the day service impacting on the mental health of the people cannot be underestimated. A significant number of respondents reported increased loneliness, increased anxiety, increased challenging behaviour or anger. 1/3 of the intellectual disabilities said they had little or no contact with the services. Here are some of the responses received back. An odd text message, nothing else for 10 weeks. Another person, hugely disappointed with the services and HSE absolutely forgotten about, with a very little to offer support the family who care for them 24/7. Another person, none, just a ticking phone call for the relatives. That's all they got was a phone call. Another person sent out a pack, a magazine, activities, etc., and a call. Prior to the lockdown, 123 respondents had access to the respite, and a further 40 had access to home-based support. Since the lockdown, only 15 people had got some respite. 16 people got some home-based support. Again, here are more responses from the survey. Absolutely no respite, no daycare since the service closed in March. This has tremendous impact for all of us, mainly on us, his parents, in managing him 24/7. The care was given to themselves. No respite or home support, totally exhausted, never a minute off. No time for other family members who also needed support. Continuous striving to maintain calmness. It is vital importance that the Minister of Health makes temporary funding available to ensure that as many people get supported at the greatest amount of time possible upon reopening the services. I've seen myself when the lockdown came and there was people that had carers coming to their houses, and their hours were reduced back from 8 to 6 to 4 to 2. And I've seen carers that wanted to go to work, and the caring services told them they only had a half an hour or an hour to give the services. There was carers willing to work, and they weren't allowed work. Why is that?
Who wishes to respond first?
I don't know, I suppose in terms of carers not being allowed to work, it's difficult to know, and it has varied quite a bit from organisation to organisation. Obviously there are public health guidelines in place, and that severely restricted people in going into other people's houses, especially where there might have been somebody with an underlying condition. And that's come true in quite a bit in some of the anecdotal stuff that we haven't included in the report. We've got, I think it's sometimes referred to as the sandwich care generation, where there might be a younger person with a disability in the house, and there might be a family member who has an acquired disability through age in the house, and there's somebody in the middle then. We've also got carers that are, carers that come into the family home, paid carers that are also going home to families where there are underlying conditions. But quite a lot, and alluding to some of the statements made by other deputies, there's been a significant amount of staff have been redeployed into contact tracing, COVID-19 testing, and in supporting residential services. So that's led to a lot of the deficit in supports going into family homes, and I suppose that's guessing at what a lot of it is, but that's certainly what's been reported to ourselves.
It still doesn't. We have home care agencies that give support to the elderly in their houses and people with disabilities in their houses. They were offering to work and looking for more hours, start to work, and they weren't allowed work. But then they've also, the people that wanted to work, their hours were reduced, but they kept their hours to a bare minimum to stop them even to getting the carers a COVID payment. So
I'm going to have to ask you to conclude. I'm sorry.